That's the problem with this camera. You don't know it's dying until it's dead.
Hello everybody. Welcome to this video. The reason you don't have this on the day that I actually filmed this is because I had an issue with my memory card and it basically just wasn't saving everything properly. This entire video was very bitty from the amount of times that the camera kind of stopped and started. But yeah, I am here to welcome you to the video. We've got a book for you, which you'll see in the next clip and for the rest of the video. But yeah, welcome and enjoy.
So today's book is The Other Woman by Sandie Jones, and the tagline on the book is "She will never let him go." Gonna get straight in with that blurb. When Emily meets Adam, she knows he is the one, that together they can deal with anything that is thrown at them. But lurking in the shadows is another woman, Pammy. Emily chose Adam, but she didn't choose his mother. There's nothing a mother wouldn't do for her son, and now Emily is about to find out just how far Pammy will go to get what she wants. The title is very clever, because it's one of those open titles where it can apply to more than one person, which I like. I like when you've got a clever title that is versatile. So throughout the book, there were a couple of times where I was just like, who exactly is the other woman in this situation? Is it the mother? Is it the ex? Is it somebody else? By the end, you realise it kind of applies to multiple people. It's in contemporary fiction, crime and thriller, psychological fiction, and it's 448 pages on ebooks. So ultimately, I think, because I think there was a bit of another book at the end. I think it was the first chapter of like another book that she's written at the end, so I think it's probably closer to about 430 pages probably. I did this book in about 3 days. I couldn't put it down. It was another one of those books where you don't want it to end. Have I said that before about a book? I didn't want it to end because I was just like, I was constantly guessing and trying to figure out what was going to happen next. And I'll admit, I kind of guessed the ending. I kind of stumbled upon what happened in the end, but not quite. Because there comes a point in the relationship. You see Emily meet Adam at the beginning of the book and she falls head over heels in love with him. And when she meets Adam's mother, Pammy, for the first time, it seems that Pammy is making like lots of subtle digs at Emily. Like she's trying to push her away. This seems like a very classic kind of mummy's boy situation when it comes to Adam and Pamela. I say that throughout the book you realise that she hates being called Pamela and she wants to be called Pammy. Because of what Pammy is doing to Emily, Emily purposely tries to piss Pammy off by calling her Pamela. But yeah, it's all very kind of subtle things where like what you're saying just makes you sound like a crazy person. Like little things like her doing a backhanded compliment about your weight. It's just like, it sounds just like a mother or a grandmother just doing those subtle digs. It's just like, even my own grandparents did that kind of thing where they give you a backhanded compliment when they met you and they didn't even realise they were doing it. So at first, Emily thinks it's kind of all in her head, and then as more things come out and you start to see the way they interact with each other when nobody else is around, you realise that Pammy is doing everything she can to split these two people up. She's determined to split up Emily and Adam. And you're trying to work out why, basically. The other woman of the title generally seems to be referring to Pammy. It's so clever the way that it just keeps you hooked. The relationship between the two of them is so toxic. It is so toxic. My eye's leaking again. I don't know why it does this. But yeah, you realise that Pammy is just doing everything she can to split these two up. And when Adam's brother comes into the mix, there's a bit of a moment. I'll say that. And Pammy uses her, I say connections. Pammy is very good at making Emily look crazy. And there were points throughout the book, in the beginning, there were points where I thought maybe it is in Emily's head. Maybe she's just not used to having this kind of relationship with her boyfriend's parent. But when you see how Pammy is with her other son and his relationships, you start to wonder what exactly is going on. As the relationship between Emily and Adam starts to deteriorate, because of Pammy's influence on the relationship, that was when I started to suspect the ending. So when everything came out, it wasn't a complete shock to me, but there was more to it than what I thought. Because I'll say that there comes a point when you do start to wonder if maybe Pammy is trying to protect Emily from her son, and this is the only way she could think to split them up. You realise that Pammy has got very kind of strict rules about kind of relationships. She believes that the woman should stay at home. She should be the one kind of like preparing the meals and not working. Throughout the story you start to wonder like how much of that actually is her real beliefs, because as things come out about Pammy's relationship with the boy's father, you wonder kind of the influence of that relationship on Pammy and how that has affected the way that she looks at other relationships. And it's just so interesting. I'm trying so hard not to spoil this because it's a journey. It's another one of those books where it's a journey. Just a complete page turner. I constantly wanted to know what was going to happen next. The little things as regards to like things that like Pammy's lied about, and some of the things she does to Emily are truly, truly horrible and disgusting. Some of the things that she lies about are really, really horrible. There is one thing in there where you never really find out if what she did was a lie or not. Though by the end of it, when it comes back around again, it comes to a point where you're just like, was this a case of the boy who cried wolf? Or was it a case of nobody believed her the first time? Well, Emily didn't believe her first time because of the strain on that relationship and because of everything that Pammy had been doing to Emily up to that point. Because Emily doesn't believe when Pammy gets ill. And when Emily follows Pammy to the hospital to kind of find out, like, is she telling the truth about this? She does catch her in a bit of a lie, but it's never explicitly stated whether she is actually lying about it. Because the conversation they have, which does kind of imply a lie, isn't quite proven. It's very confusing. With everything that comes out about Pammy and the way she talks to Emily in private, it's horrendous. And it's just like, by the time you get to the end, you start to wonder why Pammy never had that private conversation with Emily. Just like, why does Pammy have to go through such a horrible event to kind of try and split them up when she knows what she's doing? Because as I said, you know, in the beginning you're kind of wondering, like, is this just Pammy being like an older woman who's kind of lost her marbles a little bit and is just a bit set in her ways? And as you come out, you realise that she knows what she's doing. She knows why she's doing it. So why she never actually has a private conversation with Emily is completely beyond me. As things come out about Pammy and you find out why she's doing it and you find out about her own personal history and what she sees happening in her son's relationship, you wonder why on earth she never did anything about it. I mean, there is a conversation towards the end of the book with Pammy where they go like, why didn't you ever tell us? Why didn't you ever do anything? And, you know, they're going, I was scared. I thought I'd get into trouble. I thought somebody else would get into trouble. Especially when it comes out that there's part of the storyline which kind of made Pammy scared of her son. And then you realise that it's been flipped on the head because it was actually somebody else. She thought it was her son, but it wasn't. This one makes absolutely no sense. But it's one of those things where it's just like, hang on a second. So she based this whole kind of thing on something that she thought her son saw. Turned out he didn't. Somebody else saw it, but it still didn't change anything. It sounds so cryptic. But yeah, I think this is the point where I need to shut up, because otherwise it's going to get more confusing for you. I just like, one of the things says that it's a twist you will not see coming. I saw it coming. Just because of the way that the relationship deteriorates and then how you see Pammy treat the brothers' relationship. Because you see Emily kind of trying to side with the brother's girlfriend. And it's just like, oh, maybe we can kind of be in this together, you know. Even though you never actually see anything of Pammy making these underhand comments to the brother's girlfriend. And I'm just like, Emily doesn't see it at all, does she? There comes a point when, as a reader, you're kind of ahead of everything. And you realise that, or at least me as a reader, I'm not sure if everybody else would have seen it, but for me, it was a point when I felt like I was ahead of everybody else, because I was just like, wait, Emily really doesn't see what's going on. Pammy is actually being lovely to the brother's girlfriend. You can see there's no underhand comments. They start to see what's happening, and they do what they can to protect Emily from Pammy. Because there's an event when it's on Emily's hen do, and they go overseas, and they realise that Pammy has invited an ex-friend of Emily's to the hen do without really talking to anybody and knowing why these two were ex-friends. And so when you realise that Emily's mother had told Pammy the reason why the two weren't friends anymore, and then still went ahead and invited the friend on the holiday, you're just like, why would you do that? Ultimately, it does end up as kind of a nice thing, because you realise that it's everything that Pammy does. This is the one thing that actually you have two friends being reunited, and they have like an honest chat with each other about what happened that led to the breakup of the friendship. And they realise that after all these years of being so angry, they just need to bury the hatchet. When it comes out about everything, you kind of wonder if it was on purpose, if Pammy was looking at this from an external point of view and just thinking these two had a friendship before it all went tits up, and maybe we do just need to reunite these girls. But you know that never would have happened if Pammy hadn't gotten involved. And it makes Pammy seem like such a horrible person when you realise that she knew the story and she still invited the friend on the holiday. But yeah, you've got those little things that when Emily talks to Adam about it, I mean, in the beginning, I was just there thinking, why aren't you talking to your boyfriend about this? And then when she does start talking to him about everything, he's just like, do you realise how paranoid you sound? And that kind of affects that relationship. There comes a point in the book where I was just like, girl, run. This is a fucked up family. You've got the mother, who seems to be doing everything she can to split you up. Maybe you should just run. You've got the brother, who just seems to be sticking his nose where it doesn't need to be, and you're just like, you know, this is getting messy, you just need to break up. And then you've just got the deterioration of that relationship between Adam and Emily. She just can't see anything anymore. And by the end of it, when it all comes out, and you're just like, oh, okay. It's been painted in a way for it not to be as obvious what is happening, which is what made it so much harder for Emily to realise what was going on and make it so much harder for her to leave. Take from that comment what you will. I think it's fair to say that there is an abusive relationship in this book. I'm not going to say which one it is, but there is an abusive relationship in this book. Well, technically there's more than one abusive relationship in this book, and yeah, I'll let that be kind of a bit of a trigger warning for anybody going ahead with this book. And it's just a bit of an open-ended title, because the title, The Other Woman, it applies to more than one person. And as I said, I just find that really clever when you got a title that just seems to be so versatile. So that's the front cover, The Other Woman by Sandie Jones. Whew. As you can tell, I enjoyed it. I do like a good thriller. And I've just started reading a book called The Midnight Man, which is more kind of going down the horror side of things. I don't read that many horrors, and I'm about halfway through that one, and oh, I'm loving it so much. It's another one where I don't want to put it down and I don't want it to end. And then I've also got The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. That has been made available to me today. So when I finish The Midnight Man, I can start reading The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And I do have a book in my work bag, which is David Sedaris, Me Talk Pretty One Day. I have put pause on the David Sedaris book while I've been reading the ebooks, because I've just had a wave of like really enjoying reading on my phone. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I have seen people join the family, which has been really nice to see. I know I shouldn't care about the numbers, but the fact that people have now admitted that they want to admit to YouTube that they want to watch my videos is pretty cool. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another video. Mwah! Bye, my lovelies.